Hello and welcome to today's cooking class. My name is Jacqueline. I'm so excited that you're here to share another bit of time with me as we make a new recipe, a modified recipe using some of Epicure's products. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to make Cincinnati chili, but not as it's traditionally made, following the instructions on the back of the jar, but instead we're going to be making this like an actual chili con carne, because this is very different. The flavoring profiles couldn't be more dramatic. In fact, let me just share what some of the ingredients are. Of course, it does have chili powder in it, but it also has organic apple cider. We have cocoa powder. We've got cinnamon. We've got cane sugar. We've got garlic, cumin, sea salt, cloves, chili pepper, allspice, and black pepper. So you can tell just by smelling it, it is totally a different type of chili. But we're going to make like a chili con carne today instead of that traditional Cincinnati chili, which is a sauce. Now, Cincinnati chili normally is a sauce that you cook on the stove for a long period of time. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to try this in a different way. If you're going to follow the recipe, this takes an hour to an hour and a half to make. And I actually think that some of you, my customers, don't have that kind of time. I hear you say it quite often, that one of the reasons you love Epicure is it makes cooking fast, easy, and super tasty. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to convert half a package into something fast, easy, and super tasty. So let's get started, shall we? Get a liner. And you'll notice I don't have the liner on the baking sheet yet, and that's because we're going to be rolling out puff pastry. And we're going to roll this out. Now this is why I have the mat. Each one of these blocks should roll out to be 12 inches. Now why do I want 12 inches or roughly about that amount? Is we're going to make pastry bowls today. So pastry bowls, here we come. Now the Cincinnati chili that we're making today, I'm actually going to not be adding as much of the liquid in there, so we can actually make it more like a sauce, like a chili con carne kind of thing. So go ahead, roll this out to a thickness that you like, and then we're going to carefully cut it with a butter knife because we do not want to ruin our actual mat, but we are going to roll this thin because you know it's going to puff. We're going to cut it into little rectangles, and we're going to make bowls. We're going to pre-cook our dough. We use this liner. What's nice about this is it doesn't require you having to use parchment paper, and you're not flouring your table. As you can see, it does release off the tray, and it's got quite a bit of oil in it already. So just go ahead, thin this out. So our dough is rolled out. What we want to do is, the recipe on this package actually says it's a serving for 12. Yes, 12. So as I'm using half a package, this is going to make a meal for 6 people. 6 people means I need to make this square into, or this rectangle into 6 different squares. So using a butter knife so I don't ruin the actual mat below it, I'm going to carefully break this up into 6 pieces. And then what we're going to do is we will make an indent so that the inside actually does not puff up as much. And I usually find the easiest way to do this is just sort of make a little indent, not going all the way through, and then pushing that down a bit. So the outside puffs, but the inside stays flat. Okay, so just do that for all 6 that you have. And then we're going to put it in a 400-degree oven, and we're going to cook that up for a few minutes. And then while that's cooking, we're gonna move over to the stove using our saute pan and start making that amazing Cincinnati chili. Sounds like a great plan, right? So I have my rectangle bowl started, looking like this. The oven is set at 400 degrees, and we're gonna pop this in for about 15 minutes or until it's nice and toasty brown. Over at the stove now, we've got our beautiful saute pan. Let's get our Cincinnati chili going. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have some water, and we need to reconstitute the flavor into moisture so that it has that nice, rich flavor already happening for us. So if you put that in a bowl and just give this a good mix and let that start to set up, you'll notice the consistency of this is very different from your regular chili in the fact that it has that cocoa and the peppers and the nutmeg, or sorry, not nutmeg, but your cloves and your allspice and your cinnamon. Cinnamon is essential to making this an authentic Cincinnati flavor. So we will give some fun food facts in a quick second. Let's just get this stirred up, get my stove heated, and then we'll move on to the next step. Put a little oil in your saute pan. I'm using extra lean ground beef today. So once that saute pan gets heated, we're gonna add our extra lean ground beef. Okay, so where does this Cincinnati chili come from? Well, Cincinnati chili actually has become the regional food for Cincinnati. In fact, it's their holy trinity. And I think people like Anthony Bourdain actually called it, in brackets, the story of America all put into one plate. America, much like Canada, is a melting pot of immigrants who came into the country. And this meal actually was created, and it sort of loosely follows a Greek stew. This goes back to the 1920s. Now, Tom and his brother actually came over to the United States. They were fleeing from their country with the Balkan War and World War I. And when they came over, they wanted to bring over their influences. They became little restaurateurs and actually started up a couple little shops. And actually, it almost became like a franchise back in the early 20s, 30s. There were multiple different stores there. So we really have to thank our Greek descendants for this. Now, basically, it's not like your chili con carne in the fact that it's got Mediterranean flavors. With the seasoning that I had said, with the cocoa, the cinnamon, the cumin, the cloves, the allspice, totally Mediterranean flavor. I'm going to use our meat separator, and this is a perfect application. How many times have you bought a block of beef and then it just sits there? And what do you do with it? Do you use a knife or a fork, a couple forks, and try to shred it? Instead, I'm going to encourage you to take a look at our meat separator. As you can see, it's got 3 blades, and it basically is chopping this up effortlessly into bite-sized pieces so that we can get this cooked down properly. So let's just get this done. Keep this handy. Now, I have seen different meat separators out there, and not all meat separators are made the same. In fact, sometimes less is more, and this is one of those examples. I've seen a meat separator out there where it's got so many blades that it makes it impossible to clean in between. As you can see with the width, the degree that it's separated, super easy to grab a cloth and just wipe that and clean that up. Now, this Cincinnati chili, just so you know, traditional Cincinnati chili is always served over spaghetti. Yes, and the claim to fame is Cincinnati chili actually quite often is served over hot dogs as well. And it has an affiliation to those Coney hot dogs that you see so many times on different movies that you've watched. Now, when you get Cincinnati chili in Cincinnati, because it is a regional meal, what you need to know is you can order chili 2 ways, so the chili and the spaghetti. You can get it 3 ways, chili, spaghetti, and cheese. You can get it 4 ways, where they add beans, or you can get it 5 ways, onions. So there you go. You can have spaghetti, you can have beans, you can have cheese, and of course, onions. It was so popular. Back in 2000, James Beard actually called it an American classic. It's considered one of the top 15 classic meals in the United States. And it got such a huge report that it actually is featured in the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. So be thankful that immigrants brought this over with them, because it has become a huge fast favorite, especially when you consider baseball. Once the beef is actually, cooked to where you want it, take your package that you've moistened with liquid. And if you have a family and you're wanting to make this go a little bit further, remember, you could put beans in it so it becomes more like your chili con carne. But the flavor, totally different. Now, to get the consistency a little bit thicker, as you can see, it's in its beginnings, half a can of tomato paste is going to give it that nice tomato sauce. And again, because we're modifying, and that's the beauty of Epicure, is I love the fact that you can modify this however you like. So for those of you who are maybe having a garden and you've got a whole bunch of tomatoes that you're wondering what could you do with, you do not have to use traditional tomato paste. If you wanted to, maybe put some tomatoes, but make sure they're well drained. And you can see that it has set up quite a bit. For flavoring wise, let's just give it a taste. I love it. I absolutely love the flavor. It's got a little bit of heat, just how I like it. In my opinion, does not need any extra salt, because there is actual sea salt in here. Puff pastry is out, and remember I sort of did the line. This is when I said I wanted to have a bowl. So if you take the bottom of a cup, and because you've scored it, you can just use this cup to push down the center, making a bowl. Get your plates out. I would get ready and serve this definitely with a salad, because as you can see, it's just a meat tomato base with carbs. We definitely need to put some veggies on our plate. So while this is cooking, you may want to consider a balsamic vinaigrette alongside on a green salad, and that would just lift up the whole plate for you. So let's get the salad on the plate, and I'll be right back. Here's our bowl, our nice green salad, and of course I'm not going to put in the dressing on until we just get to the table, because the minute you put dressing on the salad, it starts to wilt. So we're not quite ready to eat here yet. Using your sauté spoon, let's put that nice chili on top. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, if you're going to have Cincinnati chili, you have to have cheese. That's 3 ways. And some of your onion. And I've just got white onion here, but if you wanted to make it look really pretty, if you had red onion, that would look fabulous. And there you have it. Here is your Cincinnati chili meal, only made in minutes, so that you don't actually have to follow the package exactly, but have that delicious cocoa chili flavor. I'm going to tell you, it is so darn delicious. I can't resist. Anyway, I'll see you back here again for another cooking class. Thank you so much for watching.